Hi, everybody. Thanks for attending today. I'm Carrie Stanton with Chief Architect, and we're going to talk about creating custom schedules. We have a number of Chief Architect staff members available to help with your questions as we go through the webinar. I'll first go through my presentation, which will be about 15 minutes, and during that time, you can chat in questions to our staff. Following my presentation, we'll open up for your live questions. If you want to ask a question, you'll find the chat and raise your hand options in the GoToWebinar control panel. Our session today will be recorded, and we'll be sending a link out to that in the next few days. And we'll also be including a survey in that, and we'd really appreciate any feedback that you can give us. With that, we'll go ahead and get started.
Schedules are a great way to create a list of objects in your plan, since they're able to automatically detect and list the objects that exist in your file. If an object is added or removed, the schedule will update automatically. There are several pre-formatted schedules available, which you can find by going to Tools and then to Schedules. Once you choose a schedule, you can place it anywhere in your project. Though you might end up with multiple schedules if you forget that you had one placed previously. If you encounter a situation where you have multiple callouts for a single item, it is because you have that item listed in multiple schedules. Luckily, you can find all the schedules in your plan through the project browser. You can open the project browser by going to View and then to Project Browser. If you expand the Schedules category, you'll be able to see the schedules that exist in this file. If you double-click on one, the program will open to the location of that schedule. If you want to avoid the possibility of having two schedules for the same items and reduce the amount of clutter on screen, I recommend getting into the habit of placing your schedules in a CAD detail. CAD details are additional two-dimensional spaces that can be added to your plan file. Once again, within the project browser, you'll find a CAD details folder. If you expand the contents of this folder, you'll see any details that are saved in the plan. You can add a new detail by right-clicking on the CAD details folder. You can delete, rename, or open a CAD detail by right-clicking on the individual detail. In this project, I just have two CAD details, a detail template and a blank schedules detail. You can place all of your schedules in the schedules detail, or you can add new details for each schedule. I like to have a separate detail for each schedule type, so I can more quickly find what I need, and when I send the view to layout, I don't have as much cropping to do. For an example, I'll use the Grand View plan we have in our samples gallery. In the project browser, I'll expand the list of CAD details. I'll delete this Schedules Cabinets Kitchen detail and recreate it. I'll delete it by right-clicking and then choosing Delete. Next, I'll click on the parent CAD Details folder and choose New CAD Detail. I'll name this detail Kitchen Cabinets Schedule. And once I click OK, I'll be presented with a blank detail page. From the menu, I'll select Tools and then Schedules and Cabinet Schedule, and then click in the drawing space to place the schedule. If you haven't started designing yet, the schedule will be empty, and you'll only be able to see the title and column headings. Once you start placing items, though, the schedule will update and will add any new cabinets automatically. Now that we have a schedule placed, let's see what we can do with it. If we left-click on it just once, we'll have a series of edit handles. I have diamonds on each column divider that allow me to resize the columns, squares on each column heading that allow me to reorder the columns, a square on each row that allows me to reorder the rows, and a square on each side of the schedule, which will allow me to resize the schedule overall. If I double-click on the schedule, it'll open the Schedule Specification dialog. Here, it is possible to change the title, or suppress it by unchecking the Display checkbox. You can include objects from all floors with this checkbox, or if you uncheck it, you can choose specific floors or even specific rooms. Group similar objects will of course group items that have the same data in the columns included in the schedule. Next, we can use this list to include objects from certain categories. And below that, we can choose to add, remove, or rename the columns displayed in the schedule. Just select the item and then click the Add option here to add that column to the schedule, or click the Remove button on this side to exclude that column from the schedule. Use the Move Up and Move Down buttons to reorder the columns from within the specification dialog. No matter the schedule type, the same options will be available, though the available columns list will change to be appropriate to the categories chosen above. When you have a schedule selected, you also have some tools available on the Edit toolbar at the bottom of the screen. You have Open Object, which would open the schedule specification, the same way as double-clicking on your schedule. Next to that, you have Open Row Object. Notice that when we clicked on the schedule, one row of the schedule is highlighted differently than the rest. That is the selected row. If we click Open Row Object, it will open the specification dialog for the object in that row. Do note that if a row has grouped similar objects, when you open Row Object, it is opening all objects for that row. This is quite useful if you need to add a comment or change a description, both of which can be accomplished on the Object Information panel of the item specification. You can customize the contents of a schedule further by adjusting the categories included. For example, let's create a custom schedule, though you could also use these same steps to modify an existing schedule. We've added a few new categories in X13, like roof planes, shapes, millwork, and moldings. We can create a molding schedule by removing any checkmarks already present, and then expand the moldings category and choose the desired subcategories. Notice that we have cabinet, countertops, casing, molding polylines, and room moldings all included in this list. You can see in this plan we have several base molding sills and gutters that were created with molding polylines or were attached to objects. We can create custom categories as well by clicking the New Custom Category button in the Schedule Specification or Object Specification dialog. For example, we can create a schedule for just this kitchen island by selecting these cabinets and clicking Open Object. On the Schedules panel, we'll click New Custom Category and create a category just for the island. Now we can create a new schedule and change the category of that schedule to the new island category we just created. A schedule can also be customized by utilizing the custom object fields available in the Object Specification dialog. For example, if I wanted to show the elevation of the headers in my window schedule, I can open the window specification, and on the Object Information panel, I can click Create New Field to create a new field that I can populate with text or a macro. If you set this in the defaults of your template, you'll have this information in every window automatically. Schedules are versatile tools. Since they are a dynamic object, they will continue to update and keep in sync with your project. With that in mind, you can have your schedules in your plan template, and it will automatically track the additions to your plan as it progresses. As I mentioned at the beginning, I recommend putting your schedules in a CAD detail. You can open a new plan and add CAD details, and add the schedules on each page of those details, and then create a template from that. Or we can take a plan that's already completed, with the schedules populated already in the CAD details, and create a template from that. Either way you do it, we can create a template by going to File, Templates, Save as Template. In the Save as Template dialog, I recommend reviewing the list every time. The items that have checkmarks will be deleted, So we'll uncheck the box for CAD details, since that is where our schedules are located, and we'll uncheck the box for schedules, since we want to keep those objects. I also recommend leaving unused layers, unused line styles, and unused wall types unchecked. At the bottom here, we have the option to set this new template as the default for imperial plans. If you want to do so, go ahead and put a check mark there, and then the next time you open a new plan, it will be created from this template. The next dialog is the save location. It is important to know where your templates are so they don't get moved or deleted accidentally. Saving it in the Chief Architect Templates folder, which you see here in my documents, is an okay place to put your templates, but I like to keep things that I create separate from the things the program makes automatically. So I'll actually go up to my Documents folder and create a new folder there called My Custom Templates. This does two things for me. One, I know where it is, and two, I know only my customized templates reside there, and if something weird happens in my template, I have the Chief Architect templates that I can compare it against. Next thing I do is give my template a name. You might have noticed that each version of Chief Architect I've installed on this machine had its own folder in my Documents folder. In this way, it's easy to tell which version a template was created because it was in that folder. However, it is possible that in my Custom Templates folder, I might have a template that I've brought through several versions. So as a favor to my future self, I'll name my template descriptively and also include the version I created it in. For this template we created, I might call it Built-in Schedules X13. Of course, when you do your templates, they probably have more defining features than just built-in schedules, so yours might be named something more like Colonial Brick with Monoslab X12, or French Country Kitchen X12. Whatever you name it, make it relevant to you so you know why you created it. Once we click Save, the program will open a new blank plan, based off the template we just created. Go through it and make sure all is as you'd like it. If you find something that needs to be changed, you can go back to File, Templates, Save as Template, and overwrite the previous template.
All right, so I hope you all had learned something through that webinar there. Let's go ahead and ask some questions. If you'd like to ask a question live, just use the raise your hand option in the GoToMeeting control panel. Carrie, do we have anybody waiting for questions?
We sure do. We have Tim Schrock here with a question. Hey, Tim, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Hey.
I'm doing this on my phone.
Hi, Tim. What question do you have?
I'm excited about the molding profile schedule. Do we have the opportunity to include a price with those moldings? I'm in X12 and I'm not seeing that I can attach a price to my library profile.
When you're adding prices, we don't have a whole lot of that in the schedule, but what you could do is create a custom field, and that would allow you to add a price field into your schedule. Other than that, you might want to do a materials list instead. The materials list, we have a master list where you can pre-program those prices. So as you populate your plan, when you take your takeoffs, those prices can populate automatically when you load it from your master list.
So you can pre-populate in the master list what a profile would cost.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I will look into that. Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be a lot more efficient than doing it through the schedule because the master list will actually hold on to that information from plan to plan.
Yep, that'd be good.
Okay, and then we have Dan Hurst here with a question. Hey, Dan, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
So I'm wondering if you have any tips or like shortcut tricks for using schedules with remodeling work. So, like a lot of times, maybe you have existing windows in the home and you're only adding 5 windows that you would like in the schedule. What's the quickest and easiest way to make sure that that schedule only includes those windows that you want or those cabinets that you want?
Okay, yeah, that would be the custom field. So like, for example, if I grab this window here and we open it up, What you can do is on this object information panel, we have custom fields here, and then we also have custom categories, which custom category would probably be the best route for what you want. So what you'll do instead is actually go into tools and then schedules, and you'll find custom schedule and manage custom categories. And in that custom categories, I would create a new one for like your remodel windows, for example. And then once you have that custom category in there, when you specify those windows on that object information, you can specify any additional information here. But when we create that window schedule, let me open up my project browser here. Floor one, probably. You'll be able to see in here a different category for custom. And then you'll see that new category that was created. So you just mark any of those windows you need as the custom category, and you'll be able to have it separated out from all your other windows. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's great. Thanks.
Hi, Carrie. We have a question from Esther. Hi, Esther. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, I would like to know how to add a total to, let's say, cabinets. If I have 30 cabinets, if I have 25 cabinets, how do I add the total of the cabinets?
I don't believe we have a total option in the schedule. Let's just double check here.
I know you don't. You have quantity, but
We have quantity for each individual cabinet, but not a total. So I
Right.
think the only way that you would notice that is through that call out. Yes, they're sequentially numbered.
so I cannot do that at all. I mean, I cannot add that automatically.
No, not currently, not through the schedule.
Is it possible to do that? Because sometimes the clients are asking, okay, how many cabinets do I have? So I have to go and run and start counting them.
Sure, yeah. Well, let's look. I would guess that our materials list will probably give you an option for that. Let's find out.
Oh,
Let's narrow this down a little bit here. We have a lot of cabinets in this plan.
right.
Here we have a count. They're all separated. Adrian, do you have any ideas on how we can accomplish that?
I think what I would probably do is export my schedule to a spreadsheet, and then I can just add a sum totals column in like Excel or something like that. So you can just add the equation in there and it will just automatically do that math for you.
Yeah.
That's probably what I would do.
I wanted to avoid that. Okay.
All right, how about a quick dirty?
Okay, yeah.
If you want to find out how many base cabinets there are, click on the base cabinet tool and do a marquee select on the plan. And look at the left lower corner of your screen. It'll
Yeah,
tell you
so-
how many items are selected. Okay, so that's for base cabinets.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll just, if you just need to know, that's a quick dirty.
Yeah, if you don't need to have it printed out on something,
If
that'd
you
be
don't need
great.
a list, you're just looking for a number, that's where you can get one.
Not only base cabinets, all cabinets.
All right,
Okay.
then you select the full height cabinet tool and do the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, the full height cabinet tool, when you do a shift select, will select all cabinets.
How
Yeah.
many have you got in there, Carrie?
59 on floor one.
Okay. Okay. And you can see it at the bottom, right? Okay.
Right, the
I
bottom
cannot
left-hand
see it.
corner there.
Okay, yeah. Okay, thanks. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you.
Our next question is from Gary. Hi, Gary. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, hi, how you doing? Just curious, have you guys got able to calculate our countertop template or how many square feet in the countertops in the
And the
schedule yet?
countertops like total yet? Let's find out. Let's do a countertop schedule here. We'll start with the cabinet schedule, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm in X12. I don't have that one in X12. Let's me switch real quick here.
Yeah, I know it's not in X12. I didn't know if X13.
I know that we have edge profiles for countertops, but I didn't look for the square footages here.
Yeah, a lot of times you want to just send a quick plan out to your. I mean, I have a couple shortcuts the way to do it, but I just wondered if you guys put that in the schedule. It would be nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I have countertop moldings. I don't see countertops just by themselves in here. We have cabinet doors and drawers in here. We'll make a note of that and see if that's something that we can get added.
Great,
See what happens.
thanks.
See what the developer's magic can do.
Yeah.
Carrie, we had several people write in and ask, they mentioned that their schedules often are very long. Do you have any advice for making them readable, but maybe splitting them up or something like that to get them on layout?
Okay, so there's a couple of different options. One is you can use those filters. You know, we can filter it by the room, or we can separate it out to different categories like base cabinets versus wall cabinets. Or if you want to keep them the way that you have it and you just need like multiple ones, then we just send those over to layout in different pieces. So we'll send one over out to layout and just crop it down, and then we'd send it again and then crop it in a different area.
Great, thank you. We have a question here from Brandon. Hi, Brandon. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi there.
Brandon?
It's kind of actually I have a two-parter thing. One would be to address the guy that was asking about what's the easiest way to separate rooms for remodeling, because this is what we do.
Okay.
I found that one, just first answer, name your room. You know,
name your room helps, yeah.
Yeah, naming your room, because then you can say, hey, I only want to include items that are in this room.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can, if you have a window within that remodeled space that's an existing window, just open it up in the little schedules or the window specification page and uncheck the include in schedule section. That's the way I thought the easiest thing. But my question for me that I'm struggling with is,
okay.
I understand where the header size comes from. I mean, you know, like you've got some, you know, piece in there that's saying, okay, any window size this big uses this header, anything that's, you know, 84 inches uses this header, so on. You know, there's a default in there. I get all that.
Yeah.
But what I'm struggling with is when I want to put a header in my schedule, it only puts in the header as it's pulling across from, you know, that sort of default piece. Even when I go in to a specific window, go to the framing, we'll say tab, you know, the column, whatever the little thing at the left side. Yeah, exactly there. And then there's a little place for header label, which you think would be a place where I could put a header label if I uncheck default, but that doesn't do it. So what I end up cheating myself on is making a whole other column of like comments, renaming the comments column to header, and I can write in my stuff. But it's like, what's the header thing do? What's the header box label do if it won't put in my schedule the header size I want? Does this make any sense?
Yeah, I haven't played with this in particular for header labels. Al, have you encountered that at all?
Like when you go to the header type, you know, the lumber, the LVL, the whatever, that comes across as a thing that you can change. And because, you know, there's also in that little drop down the type with right now it says use default. If you do that and you pick in your schedule header type, it will bring across that information.
Oh, okay.
Like it will, like in the default stuff, it's writing it kind of backwards for me. It's writing it like 2x6, then parentheses 2. Well, I don't want it to write that way. I want it to write 2 with a dash and a 2x6, you know, a double 2x6 or whatever. I just want it to write the way I want it to write. So when I've gone into here and tried to force it to do that, it just plain and simple doesn't do it.
Okay, yeah, we'll look into that.
I haven't seen that.
Are you using like, you haven't seen that, Al?
No, sorry.
Okay. So I assume that you're trying to do like a custom macro for that?
Me? No,
Yeah. No?
no, I'm not using a macro for it. I
Okay.
mean, again, clicking that little, what I would think to say, hey, here's a window.
Mm-hmm.
This window is going to be in the schedule. Let's just assume that we've said, hey, this is a window that's in the schedule. And if I uncheck that default and I go to my header label, I've got a way to specify a label. Just
Okay,
like
so you're just manually typing in there 2-2x6. Sorry for interrupting there.
Yeah, like you can put anything you want and specify a label column.
Sure.
Say, hey, big ass header.
Are you using a window schedule or a framing schedule?
Window schedule. And again, one of the window schedule options is header.
Yeah,
and it
absolutely.
does put a header in, but it pulls it from that really cryptic, overriding big level plan default where it says, okay, any window that's this big or any opening that's this big uses this default header size.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, you need to probably be able to override that because I could have a really small header that has a really big point load on it or something.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
this dialog box would be the perfect thing. It just doesn't seem to work.
Okay. Yeah, we'll report that and see what we can do about it.
All right. Awesome. Hey, thanks.
Thanks.
Carrie, our next question is from Amy. Hi, Amy. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, Carrie. My question is that I have a very long electrical schedule by the time I do a whole house. So when I go to send that to layout to make it fit on the page, it is unreadable. Is there a way to do multiple columns? I have 2 columns, basically, symbol and description. And if I could have something that I could create more horizontally, multiple columns rather than one long vertical stream, is there a way to do that and make it look professional?
Yeah, just sending it to layout, cut, cropped out. So like right there, for example, that's one way of doing it. Filtering it out to different properties, like we have electrical here in several different categories. You might separate out, outlets versus switches versus lights. That's some options for you there. We don't currently have the ability to make multiple columns or to go horizontally with these yet. Hopefully sometime in the future we'll have some changes there.
Can you show me how to do that, where you do it by types and it'll still say electrical schedule at the top, or it'll be switch schedule, something that.
So the top is just this title here.
Okay.
And then right in the categories to include, we have the electrical, which is just everything. But if you expand that using the arrow, we have these other options here. So if I only want outlets, I'll just turn those off for right now. And so that shortens that up. And then I can create another electrical schedule over here. And instead of outlets, maybe I want just switches. And that'll shorten it up there. And then I'll place another one and we'll do just the lights here.
Okay, that works. I like that.
There's some options there. That's really easy and quick.
That's great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Have a good day.
You too, Amy.
Thank you.
Let's check in with Jack. Hi, Jack. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Jack.
Hi. So I had 2 questions. I was sort of hoping that the schedules would be covering those like the little images of, like doors or windows that you also put on the layout page. So I have one question actually that's related to that. In terms of, it actually has to do with like trim buildups, with your windows or doors. And because as far as I understand, there's not a way to kind of stack, trims at the, for a header, let's say for a door, that essentially I have to do that manually. And usually I've been using soffits, to make them whatever size. And then, I'm able to stack them on top of the header there to, kind of create more of like a craftsman look.
Sure. Okay. So let me stop you a second here. I just want to make sure I'm understanding the way that you do it. Are these stacks that you're creating things that you're using every single time, several times in several different plans, perhaps, or just one-off sort of scenarios?
Usually it would be consistent. So we, I haven't quite gotten to like the next set of plans to be doing that. So I'm still kind of like, you know, learning everything.
Sure.
But what I know you can do like custom, you know, like molding profiles, but it doesn't give you the option essentially to have like, you know, like horns, if you will, like so it hangs over in two directions. So not just, you know, in one
Okay, so it comes
direction.
down the sides?
Yeah, or like out the side. So essentially if you have like a 1x6 at the top for, you know, for the header there, and then I have a 1x2 and a 1x3 that I flip on its side and stack those on top of each other. So not only do they come out further than the header, but also on like width wise, they come out like an inch.
Wider than others.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so I wasn't able to, you know, if I didn't want it to extend, you know, to the left and right, then I suppose I could just do a custom molding profile. But because I need it in, you know, in those three directions, I haven't found that as a solution. So I've been, you know, using soffits to create that look, and it's incredibly tedious because I have to go kind of one by one. Sometimes I can, you know, copy paste whole position and like it goes a little bit quicker, but I'm sort of running into an issue now where my soffits are snapping to like if there's an adjacent wall that's perpendicular to the one that the door is on. So like in a bathroom, that's like a small room, right? Like the door is kind of pushed over, you know, to the one side where like casing kind of just barely fits around it. And there is a little bit of a space there, but essentially if when I get within like 3 inches maybe of that wall that the door is not on, that soffit is just automatically like connecting all the way over to the wall. And I haven't, even if I click on the soffit, it'll say it's a certain dimension, but it doesn't show that. It's like longer than it says that it is, but I'm not able to find a setting where I'm able to like turn off that snapping.
So a couple of different points for you. Soffits behave a lot like cabinets, and if you have the auto filler turned on, it's going to automatically reach out and try to grab that wall or anything else that's next to it, like another soffit or a cabinet. So if you go into your default settings, cabinets, and then general cabinet, you'll find these automatic fillers. That one right there is probably the one that you want, that create automatic fillers checkbox. Uncheck that, and then your soffits won't reach out and try to grab, you know, walls.
Okay, so it's the general cabinet, because I was looking at soffit and I didn't see that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the functionality where it reaches out and grabs things, you know, that's the auto filler for both cabinets and the soffits. Now, as for using soffits for what you're doing, I probably would go with a molding polyline instead of a soffit, because, you know, soffit has a lot of extra things that you're not using. Whereas a molding polyline, it's just a CAD line that has a molding profile extruded on it. And what that allows you to do is if you have one of those more fancy sort of lintels, you can actually wrap the CAD back towards the wall so you get a finished edge instead of seeing raw molding on the side, you know, depending on what kind of molding profile you're using.
Okay. Yeah, I find that tends to, it seems like it takes longer, but maybe it's just like the initial kind of like setting it up, because just to like drop in a soffit, you know, it's already a 3-dimensional, you know, object, so it just seems like a little bit simpler. But so if I do like essentially just use a regular CAD line and then like convert to polyline solid or something like that.
Not a polyline solid, a molding polyline.
A molding polyline.
You can also go into build, and then let's see here, where is that? Trim, that's where it's at. You'll find molding polyline here, or a molding line. I'd probably start with the molding line. I believe the polyline is going to give you a clear closed polyline. But a molding line, or if you have the profile already in the library.
All right.
Molding, so you can just grab the profile from the library and then click and drag, and it'll already be applied. So it's already a molding.
Okay. I'll try.
Can I chime in with a tip as well?
Sure, go ahead, Adrian.
Just like what Carrie just suggested with creating your lintel and your overhang, even if you use soffits or the molding or polyline solids, if you kind of make that in its own area, you can convert that object to a symbol. So you could have a symbol lintel essentially, and you can add that to your library. And then you can actually forcibly kind of attach that to the window under the the treatments panel of the window specification, and that will even show up in your schedule. So that might get you where you want to be, so you have exactly a 3D representation of whatever trim you're using, either on the top or the bottom of the window. Yeah, right there.
You said to convert it to what?
A 3D symbol object.
Okay. Okay, and then that is, and you said you can apply it essentially under the like window treatments. Would that be the same for doors as well, or is that just for windows?
Yeah, doors I don't think has that treatments panel. So you might just have to place that one separate. Although if it's millwork, we can include that in schedules in X13. So there's that.
Okay. And then my other question was in terms of the schedules. We convert ours to text and then to rich text, and I tend to, when it converts to the rich text specifically, the spacing seems a little bit odd, but essentially the column title for each one no longer lines up with the information below it anymore. So like this is essentially like a grid, and I would think that it would kind of hold that like grid pattern. I know you can like customize it, but initially it's like the the headers are spaced a certain distance apart, but then they'll like overlap with like what the information is below. So I don't know if you converted that one to text and then to rich text, if it'll do that same thing. But I didn't know if there was a way to have the titles continue to line up with the information below them even after you convert to rich text, before I even like change any like font or anything.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a setting specifically for that. I think that just might be a way it functions. We'll write that down and look into that just to make sure we can see if we can improve that at all. But
yeah, because right now it's like space. It's like an arbitrary number of spaces, and it just tends to take a long time, and it's so if there's any way that could just at least like be lined up under each other, and then like you can edit the text and and all the other stuff, but that would be great. And in X13, are you guys gonna have you mentioned something, but are you gonna have the ability to have like a buildups for casing like within the like a door or window, or is it just going to be like because plinth blocks also like I'm having to do those manually, and that's it's just really a pain.
Yeah, I don't think we're doing any changes in the dialogue specifically for allowing those in like the lintel and the casing and things. I don't think I've seen any modifications come down the line for that, but we'll certainly write it down and see if we can get some developers looking at it.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Jack.
All right, let's check in with Jim Lynch. Hi, Jim. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi there.
Hi, Jim. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing fabulous.
Good. I just wanted to say earlier there was a question about countertop square footage, and if you do a materials list, it gives you the countertop square footage in the materials list. That's the quickest and easiest way to get that square footage. Oh, no question. You're doing a great job.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks, Jim. We have a question from Kathy. Hi, Kathy. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi.
So I have two questions. One is actually specifically for the electrical schedule. So I know you can, it's great to see how you can split them up. I never even thought about that, so that's a great idea. So we can fit it on there. But even with that, it just takes up so much room. You can see that the text is really small in comparison to the row. And then I think if you click on the schedule and you open it up, you can choose to have it be in, down at the bottom, scale the images. So then it shrinks it, supposedly, to the scale of what's on the plan. But then, okay, so like mine doesn't do that.
Okay. Are you checking that Western use plan view scale?
Yeah, I did. But, but then when I do that, it still stays the same size, the images shrink, but the rows stay the same size.
Okay,
So
well, it's going to be dependent a little bit upon the biggest item that you have in that column.
Yep.
So maybe that's part of it. You know, like this fan is quite large.
Yeah.
One thing that you can do to kind of control that a little bit is if you grab the columns, you can actually kind of reduce it a little bit. Oh, let's undo the plan view scale here and see if we can do this a little bit. We can actually reduce the size a little bit like that.
Oh, okay. And then if you click on it and then do, oh, that actually makes it smaller.
Yeah, you'll have to watch out for, you know, the word wrapping up here. If you get too small, it'll start getting that first one really tall. But you can probably just delete that that heading there. It's kind of obvious what it is. So yeah, they all kind of get smaller though, so it's kind of a trade-off.
I suppose. Okay. And then second question, how about backsplashes? Like for tile kickoffs? Is there a way to do schedules for that?
Not schedules, that would be something I would do in the materials list.
In the materials list?
Yeah. That's going to be, you know, dependent upon how you have the material specified in the material adjust material definition. There's a materials list panel there where you can actually specify, you know, the widths of the grout and the size of the tiles and all of that. And then as long as you have your material specified there, when you do your material takeoffs, you'll get an accurate count.
Okay. You just remind me of something else, a third question.
Okay.
So let's do like it doesn't even matter. Well, yeah, door schedule.
Okay.
If you want to just pull up a door schedule. So you guys have, you know, the Therma-Tru and Simpson, but when if I select a different door manufacturer and I want to go into one door and I want to edit that description. So if you click on one and then open that up, object information, it has an auto, you know, it's a macro for the automatic description. But if I want it to be something different, do I just have to?
You just delete that out and type in what you want.
Okay.
Yeah, just because we have something in there doesn't mean that you have to stick with it.
I suppose. Could you click on components for a second?
Components, okay.
There. Yeah, because it's under the component piece. That's something I want to change, and you can't edit any of that information, right? Because that's automatic with.
There's some things that you can change in here, some things not as much. You can add formulas, and you know probably won't do anything to the accounting code. That wouldn't make any sense here, but the count here, when you click on there, you know you should have options, and you can type in here, and you can choose you know different units of measurement there. You can add formulas, or you can insert a macro, and some basic formulas can be used in here.
Is that a right click or a left click?
It's just a left click. Just double click in there, and you'll get it.
I guess I never noticed that. Okay, that's it.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
No problem.
Appreciate
Thanks,
your help.
Kathy. Oh, no problem.
Our next question is from Charles. Hey, Charles, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, and thank you. Just a couple of quick questions for you on the door and window schedule. Is there a way to put the slide directions? I know they have the hinge, the dotted lines for the hinge openings, but what about the slide directions horizontally and vertically?
Okay, not in X12. I do believe we have some things added for that in X13. I think it's going to be kind of an automatic behavior for it. Let's see. Do we have that in the schedules here? I don't remember where that's at.
I see it on the bottom. It says show opening indicators.
Yep, there it is. That is exactly it. Good eyes. So I think these ones, oh, those are sliders and they're not showing up. Let me look at my defaults. The fun thing is this is an X11 or X12 plan, so there might be things in here that aren't turned on for X13. But I do know that we have added some arrows for sliders, so let me see if we can find it here. We'll start with Windows. Component options. Adrian, do you remember where that setting is? I am drawing a blank.
Yeah, there's a panel for opening indicators. If it's
Oh, look
kind
at
of
that, brand new one. This is right there. Yeah, so we'll put on our sliding indicators here. Let's see if it's a dynamic default or not. Apparently not. Let's open this here. Our button. This one. Show. There it is. Fancy
wow,
and lovely slider.
So that'll show up in the elevations also.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's great. Okay, super. And another one is in your 3D exterior elevation graphics. Is it possible to change the rotation on some items? Like a lot of light fixtures kind of look odd at the fixed 3D view.
The option for that, let's see. Do you use the perspective like these ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we have any controls over that at all currently. Yeah, I don't see any controls for what that has. No, we'll write that down and see what we can do about it.
Okay, and my last question is, you've touched on some things, but can you cover maybe what's new in X13 that you might not have mentioned yet?
Well, we've added the ability to create roof plane schedules. It was only very briefly touched on earlier. Let me pull it up here. We'll grab a schedule and we'll find it in here. So we've added a lot of items to be able to be scheduled that weren't schedulable before. So like in these categories to include is a good place, like cabinet doors and drawers, that's new. Millwork and moldings, roof planes, roof trim, a lot of these, sprinklers weren't included in X12. So a lot of it is just being able to put more things into schedules. Between X11 and X12, we added the ability to create those custom categories, these guys here. So if you didn't catch that when we did that back, last year.
Oh, yeah.
Skylights can go into schedules now, and you can put those either in the window schedule or in a roof schedule if you wanted.
Okay. And the schedule itself, is there anything new in the formatting or?
And the way that it displays on screen?
Yeah.
Not really. I don't think we've changed much with the display of it itself. These were all here before. Yeah, I don't think we've added anything in particular for the display of the schedules.
Okay, great. That takes care of my questions. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Thanks, Charles.
Carrie, our next question is from Kareem. Hi, Kareem. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi,
Can you
Kareem.
hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I have a quick question. Electrical symbols, the electrical connections that connects the light fixtures.
Okay.
Is there a way to put that in the schedule? I've been searching and searching, but I
I don't
can't
think
seem to
anybody's
find.
ever asked me that question before. I don't think so. Let me look here. No, well, maybe what's under other. I don't see what shows up here. It doesn't look like it. We'll write that down. That seems like an interesting one to have added there.
Because I had a client once recently, like last week. I sent him the schedule with the schedule and the electrical plans, for him to go over. And he said to me, "Oh, there's no way to connect the fixtures." So I said to him, "Yes, if you look, you see the broken lines,
Oh, yeah.
So because it wasn't in the schedule, I don't know what he figured it was, but
Yeah, it didn't cross his mind that's what it was.
no. So I was searching for a way to add this to the schedule, but
Yeah, it doesn't look like we have that option yet, but we'll write that down and see what we can do for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Let's see what Robin has to say. Hi, Robin. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hey there. How you doing, Carrie?
I'm doing all right. How you doing, Robin?
Oh, thank you. So I have two really dumb questions. One of them I've already answered. I was a little late getting in today because of a client meeting. However, one is the most annoying thing to me is I want to change the font size for the heading of the schedule. So it's not like this. So it's not this teeny tiny, because oftentimes I'll put it'll say electrical schedule, but it's like with your schedule, it's that header is so teeny tiny. tiny. So it says door schedule, but it's like easy little label to it.
Yeah, we don't currently have the option for that. So what I would probably do would be to suppress the display of the title and then just add a text box at the top.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we don't currently have the option for that.
Okay, because it's just, you know, I've had that mentioned to me a number of times in the past where, you know, clients have been or contractors have been just kind of like, I do multiple custom schedules on my report. And my second question, this one is also, like, I would just love it if, like, even like, if you could just put this in there. So, like, even like it says 3D exterior elevation, number label when you're doing those floor sizes, that should be a larger font to be able to call that out on
So you're saying like the number column to have this font larger than the other columns? Is that what you're saying?
Just the headers.
Just the headers, these guys here?
Yeah, just those.
Yeah.
Those should be a larger font for clarification. So it would be super helpful if I had that. The other thing, it's just such a little thing, but it just looks better on presentation in the color scale. The other thing is, that we may have already covered this today, is how do I add moldings to a cabinet schedule?
Moldings to a cabinet schedule. Okay. Well, you can't do that in X12, but you can in X13. So let me place another cabinet schedule in here.
Just like my cabinets that I specify. So for example, like when I do my kitchen cabinets and like I put in a wall cabinet, I have my molding stack specified for, you know, specific moldings in there, and I can change those labels. I can do all of that to make sure that I can't get them to show up into, like when I go to place a cabinet order, I do schedules for the cabinet order, and that's can't get the moldings in there. So,
yeah, so then one of the new categories that we have in the X13 schedule specification is cabinet moldings. So you'll be able to get those in there now, I believe. I don't have a whole lot of, I think the cabinet moldings that we're using in this plan are just squares. But yeah, like these guys here, I believe are some moldings that we have. Yeah, so we got 3 of them here.
cool. Okay, good enough. But so if they're doing it like, it's also being done at like, so it's saying CO3, it's being done at 2 feet, but it's not specifying like the returns on those moldings. For example, if it has to return to a wall. So is there any way to figure out linear footage of your moldings?
Well, you can add like the total length of the moldings in here. It wasn't included automatically because this was a cabinet schedule before, and total length doesn't apply to just cabinets. So I added the cabinet moldings through here, and then I'll put the total length. We don't currently have the ability to separate those out into the individual pieces, but you can at least get your total length there.
Yeah, okay, good enough. So I'll just keep adding that. I did a layout schedule where I just add my linear stuff to it, but it would have been nice if I could simplify it if I didn't have to do that. That's all. Good enough.
Yeah.
I'm all set. Thank you so much. We're just asking the world from you today. I know we are.
I know.
Our next question is from Gerald. Hi, Gerald. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, I have a question on your custom schedule specification.
Okay.
If you select more than 2 categories, you get the available columns down below. How do you know which column is applicable to which category? Because they all seem mixed together.
Yeah, they're all kind of mixed together. I don't think there's a way to really tell which one goes with what unless you already kind of have an idea of just the name of it. Because if you're using like moldings, total length would apply to moldings, but total length doesn't apply to cabinets. So yeah, there isn't a way to really call those out currently. We'll write that down and see what we can do.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Carrie, we have Heidi here with a question. Hi, Heidi, go ahead.
Hi, how are you?
Doing all right. How are you doing, Heidi?
Fantastic. If I want to create a countertop schedule, it includes all the pieces, like maybe a wall cap and a threshold and maybe shelves for the niches. Is there a good way to do that?
The sills and things like that we have in the moldings, door and window casings and lintels. Window sills are all there. Countertop edge profiles are there. We don't have full countertop schedules yet, though.
Okay.
So that's all under molding here.
All right, and then
that's an X13.
So if I want to create a schedule that shows everything that needs to be ordered, so like for instance, the kitchen sink isn't just the sink, but you might have to order the cutting board and the drain and the strainer that sits in the bottom, or all those extra components that you can add them to the object specification and put them in there as components.
Mm-hmm.
But they, for some reason, they still don't show up on a schedule as items needing to be ordered.
Okay. Well, I know some of those items you can add to your cabinet schedule, just by opening it up and choosing the categories for it, like the sink. You can find those in, the plumbing here, fixtures. As for the cutting board, depending on how it's applied, it might work with the cabinet doors and drawers. Adrian, does the Reva shelf stuff show up under the cabinet doors and drawers too, or?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. Let me poke around.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So you can get some of it through schedules. You might be able to do a better list through the materials list, though.
Okay. All right. They're not in the X13. Will we be able to add a shelf to a niche by any chance?
I don't think we've added that, but you can grab a shelf and put it in the niche by holding down the control key on your keyboard. That'll disable the bumping. That way you can actually put it into that wall and into that opening of the.
Yeah, I mean, I use it for molding and stuff. It's just kind of a pain in the neck to have to create all those little things. And it would be nice to have just option to add a shelf or option to add a ledge.
Yeah, I think that would be a great thing for us to add. We'll write that down.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Another quick question that's not about the schedules, but on cabinets, will X13 have an option for recessed cabinet doors or bifold cabinet doors?
I don't think we've made any changes to those door styles at all.
Oh, well, thank you.
Sorry, I wish I had better news for you.
Let's check in with Aaron. Hi, Aaron. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Going all right. How are you doing, Aaron?
Good. You sort of answered this question earlier, but I don't think it's answered 100% accurately. So my question is, let's use your example, I guess, your plan for an example. What I'm trying to do is create a schedule. Let's just say cabinets and doors are a good example, but let's use cabinets. Let's use the Jack and Jill bath. I just want a schedule for the Jack and Jill bath cabinets, and let's say the mud area. That's the only two I want in this particular schedule for whatever reason. So when I go to my create a cabinet schedule, it only gives me the option in the dialog box. Let me open it up here on my end too. Let's see. Yeah, so when I go to open it up, I can either choose from the pull-down menu, include objects from room, either all or just one room. I can't multi-select rooms in there.
Okay, yeah, I want to do it by room. I would do it by selection. So like, for example, if I were to grab these guys here, try not to grab the label, I would actually create a custom category and apply these guys to that category. So you can do this in X12 as well, I believe, but you'll have a schedules panel. There it is. Include in schedule as, create a new custom category and call it, whatever you need here.
Okay.
And that'll list up under here. So now this cabinet has this category, and I'd probably remove it from here if you don't want it showing up in your regular cabinet schedules.
Okay.
And then I'd set my custom schedule to use that custom category.
Okay.
Okay.
Then can I specify rooms? What if I want the rooms to show up just for those as well? So
what room it's in?
On the custom category schedule? Yeah.
Okay, so I believe we have the room name that we can add. Let's see if this works. Yeah. Does that help?
Okay, so what if we wanted to include one other room in that then as well?
So like these mud area cabinets, I would just grab this,
Let's try that.
open them up, go to schedule, include in schedule as add, remove that one, add this one, and okay. Pinch.
Okay, so you did it through the custom.
Yeah, create a custom category, add those items to that category, create a custom schedule, select that category for that schedule.
And we can do that in 12 too.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. Is there a reason, let me ask this one last question, is there a reason we can't, or will we be able to select multi-rooms through that pull-down menu, underneath include objects from all room? Will we ever be able to do it that way?
We haven't done it yet. It doesn't mean that we won't ever do it.
Yeah.
I think we just need to talk to our developers and see what's possible.
Okay, I'll try the custom way then. Appreciate it.
All right, no problem.
Thank you.
All right, our next question is from Matthew Bowles. Hi, Matthew. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello.
Hi, Matthew.
I had a quick question about the framing schedule.
Okay.
I haven't played around enough with X12 to know if it's there either, but when we built our house, my dad sat down with the plan before we started because he's the 30-year experienced carpenter from the 4th generation. I'm the 5th getting into it. Dad sat down with their house plan and we cut out all of our king studs, window cripples. I mean, we had every single piece of framing cut before we started.
Oh, okay.
And my question stems around that. Is there a way, or will there be a way for me to be able to create that sort of list in a schedule? That way, when I sit down with the plan, I can generate that list and me and my guys can sit there and cut all of that material before we start building a house.
Yeah, I wouldn't use a schedule for that. I would use the materials list. The materials list, you can actually do a cut list and a buy list and the total linear lengths of all the pieces if you wanted. But we don't currently have that for schedules. But the materials list is a great place for that. You can actually set prices for each piece of lumber and all that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Karine has another question. Go ahead, Karine.
Hi, yes. Another thing, the electrical schedule, is there a way to like have it to label all the outlets as outlets and all the lights as lights, switches as switches and stuff like that?
In the schedule itself?
Yes, because when I generate the schedule, it will just give me like the duplex outlet, let's say duplex, GFCI, it just be GFCI, and it doesn't say outlet. The switches will just say single, double, four-way, it doesn't say switch.
Okay, I think if we turn on the label, maybe, let's see what we can do here. Let's add the label. So label might help a little bit. Looks like it's a lot of the same as the description there. Maybe not. So yeah, don't use that. That's about the same as the description. What I would probably do is like we did here, where we have it separated by outlets and switches and lights, is to just change the name of the schedule and include only those types of objects right now. I don't believe we have a way of calling out the type of electrical item it is, short of this control here.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Carrie, we have one more question, and it comes from Tim Schrock again. Hi, Tim. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hey again.
Hi again.
I like the ability to control the custom schedule type. Do we have the option to control like the custom fields in the object information panel?
Yeah, the custom fields and the object information, you can add
I know I can
quite a bit to it.
What if I want to delete?
You want to delete a custom field? If you go into default settings, I believe is where you control that. Go into schedules, custom object fields right there.
Ah, there it is. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Carrie, do you have time for one more question?
Okay, yeah, one more question.
Our last question is Jack Phelan one more time. Hi, Jack, go ahead.
Hi, Jack.
Hi. Okay, so I just had two quick ones is there any way to select multiple rows in a schedule to be able to reorganize them? I don't think there is, but
no, not currently.
Okay. And then my other question is there a way actually to, I think somebody else must have gone into my file and changed one of my schedules, so I can't just like undo it. Is there a way to take a schedule that's already been converted to text to like switch it back to the regular schedule?
No, unfortunately not. Switching to a text box breaks that dynamic link, so it forgets all of that behind the scenes magic that happens.
Perfect. Okay, thank you so much.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, thanks.
All right, that's all the questions we have. Did you want to make any announcements?
Okay, yeah, we got a few things here. Let me pop this over. So yeah, we have lots of free webinars coming up. The next one is going to be on stair basics next week. We have virtual training seminars as well. Those are actually 4-day classes. We have the intro class and an intermediate class starting on March 10th. Follow us on Instagram. We're really close to 10,000 followers, so if you could give us a couple of follows, that'd be awesome. Today's webinar was recorded, and we'll send out a link to that within the next couple of days. So if you missed anything, keep an eye out for your email there. Included in that email is actually going to be a survey. Please take a moment to fill out the survey. It's pretty short, and it really helps us improve our processes and letting us know, how you experienced the seminar and whether or not we need to make any improvements over there. We have a boot camp tomorrow, so if you're brand new to Chief Architect, we have our Chief Architect boot camp that starts at 10 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow on the 26th, and we hope to see you there too. I think that's all I had in here. Thanks again for attending, and hope to see you all next Thursday for Stair Basics.